everyone and welcome to Harrogate. I'm just about to pop into the Orvis Harrogate store for my MOT test on my rod and reel and line. Anyone can do this in the month of March, so pop down to your local store and don't miss this.
So we do a basic rod, reel and line MOT here at Orvis Harrogate, like all the other Orvis UK stores. And it might be worth just pointing out one or two of the main issues that people have with their gear when they bring them in. Starting off with the rods, obviously the part of the rod that gets the most hammer is the lower section, the butt section, particularly the handle. This one here from our Clearwater range, it's one of our demo rods, but if you imagine you've owned this for a while, you've been fishing with it fairly regularly or for a long period of time, the handle does get pretty worn. The filler's starting to come loose a little bit. It does take quite a while for these rods to reach that stage because of the quality of the cork, but it does depend to a large extent on how much you use it as well. We do charge a nominal handling fee of £45, which is really good value in view of the service that you're getting, I think. What we can do in the store is check things like, and this is a common sin, tightening both of the locking nuts at the same time. If you do that, it's prone to jamming, so we can free those for you in the store without marking them too much. We can check the ferrules, the male ferrule and the female ferrule. Over time, they can get worn down, and you don't get quite as snug a fit when one section fits down onto the other one. So we can give them a clean, and we can also give you a very handy little tub of ferrule wax, and by rubbing that on the male ferrule, it puts just a little bit more diameter onto the male ferrule, so that when it engages with the female one, it's snug as a bug, as it were. Something else that's probably worth pointing out about rods as well is that the eyes can take a fair bit of hammer. Again, we're limited as to what we can do in store, but Andy is an absolute whiz kid at either repairing them or replacing the section. Sometimes the tip ring as well, that's just a standard hay fork tip ring, which a lot of our rods have. That can become grooved over time. There's issues to do with casting that can affect that. The good thing about modern fly reels nowadays is if they've got, like the Hydros SL, the main workings are underneath that sealing plate. And the rationale behind that is it stops grip getting in, it stops anything that might affect the workings of the reel, the smooth operation of the reel, the working of the drag, the revolving of the spool. So it reduces the need for maintenance. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't maintain it, but every once in a while it's worth taking that sealing plate off, having a look at everything underneath, maybe putting a bit of reel oil onto it. That is certainly something that we can do for you in the store. As an exposed drag, it's a set drag, this one, so this one isn't covered by a sealing plate, so over the course of a season's hard work that can become fouled with all sorts of things. So that's something that can be cleaned easy with warm water, lukewarm water, very mild solution of detergent. Fiddly little jobs, if we can take them off your hands, we're more than happy to do so. So lines do get an awful lot of hard wear and tear over the course of a season. There's various things that can affect the coating. They can be trod on, they can be caught in a tree, they can lie on the ground and in mud and grit and gravel for long periods of time. So they do get worn, they do get cracked. There comes a point where you need to replace it, but if you look after your line, if you clean it, for example, again, a lukewarm water with a very, very, very mild solution of detergent, a non-abrasive cloth just to clean it and dry it, and then there's various commercially available line cleaning agents. This is a popular one here at the Harrogate store. It's by Rio, Agent X. So this is the Wonder Cloth. It's one of a number of products of its type. It's non-abrasive, it's very good at taking off surface grime, surface grit and things like that. It's also fantastic as an applicator for line cleaning agents. The main thing to remember with a fly line is no matter how durable the manufacturer says it is, it's largely down to how much use you get out of it and how you look after it. So I clean my fly lines quite regularly as a guide, okay, so that the next client who comes along and uses them knows that he's getting the best out of that line that he can. So clean them, wash them, look after them, and they'll last you. Another service that we can do for you where fly lines are concerned, a lot of anglers like to use braided loops. If they've got a line that's originally come with a welded loop made from the end of the fly line, over time that will wear out. So if you cut it off and replace it with a braided loop, which are very convenient, over time they can wear out too. So we can cut that off, we can fit a new braided loop for you as well. It's a 5-minute job, and if you like, you can stay with us and we can show you how to do that in the most efficient way possible.
Clark, if someone has a rod that isn't Orvis, can they bring it in?
They can. Obviously, we'd be delighted if they walk through the door with a rod from Orvis. If it's seen quite a few years service as well, and it's still going strong, but it maybe needs just a little bit of TLC, all well and good. But we're more than happy for people to bring in whatever gear they've got, and you never know, they might well go at the end having bought one or two little bits and pieces from us just to help their own rod, reel and line maintenance a bit easier in the future.
When exactly can you come and have your tackle serviced?
As long as you book it far enough in advance, because of course we're a working department, we're a working store, just turning up on the spur of the moment, there's no guarantee that a fishing specialist will be available to do that. So give us a call or fire us an email in advance. As long as we do that, then pretty much any time really.
And if you don't book an appointment, can you just come and bring your stuff in and you can, I guess, put it in the back, and when you have time you can do it?
As long as you bear in mind that, we
there
might not
be a
necessarily...
delay.
Correct, we
Yeah,
might not
okay.
be able to do it on the spot, but we can certainly pledge to get it turned around and back to you as soon as possible. So in situations like that, you might have to bear with us just a little bit longer.
How many times a year would you say you should get your tackle serviced?
It's a question that I often get asked, to do with fishing of course, and it's a little bit of a politician's answer. How much use do you get out of your rod?
Yeah.
How much use do you get out of your reel and line? Do you use them in the kind of environments where they might get a little bit more wear and tear than others? If you regularly check your gear after each trip, it reduces the need for a regular full tackle MOT. I look at mine as a guide after every single trip, because the chances are in a couple of days' time I've got another client booked in who wants to come along and use it.
Am I right in saying that you can do it all year round, or is it just March that you can get your service?
We have no objections to having a look at people's gear at any point during the year. The main point where we advertise this is of course round about this time of year, with the new season being just round the corner.
Yeah.
But by all means feel free to give us a call, drop us an email. If you've got gear that you want us to give the once over, let us know far enough in advance and we're more than happy to have a look at it for you.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it?
I think so,
It's a
yeah.
complete no-brainer, because if you look after all your tackle, then it's going to last forever, hopefully.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then it's not going to last for a very long
If
time.
you've made an investment
Yeah.
on good quality gear, and we know that the quality of Orvis gear speaks for itself, for want of those few minutes here and there, just having a look at the key parts of your equipment that tend to get a lot of wear and tear, knowing how best to maintain it. If you're a busy person, bring it in and we'll do it for you. And if you've got the time to stay, we'll show you how to do it yourself.
Do you have any tips for people who are going to watch this video for how to look after your gear, and what are the steps to, after you've been using it, what to do exactly?
I think we've all been in that state where we've come to the end of a long, hard, busy day's fishing. The weather might have been bad. It's dark, it's wet, it's blowing a hoolie. It's all too easy to chuck the rod back into its tube or into its bag. Wet, dirty. You leave it for a few days. You come back to it, and it's starting to get that horrible bluish colour on the handle, which can only mean one thing really. So if you can, you might not be able to do it on the bank by the car there and then, but certainly as soon as you get home, take your rods out of the slips, take them out of the cases, wipe them down, clean them in the way that we were talking about earlier on. I wouldn't necessarily leave them anywhere that's really, really hot to dry, because that can cause problems with drying and cracking the varnish and various things like that. But certainly do clean your rod afterwards. If the rod bag itself is wet, then obviously dry that out as best you can. That's basically it where rods are concerned. Just pay attention to little parts of the rod where grit and grime can get in and affect it.
How do people clean these bits inside?
And what I tend to do is double over a pipe cleaner and use that. They're non-abrasive, as long as none of the wire on the pipe cleaner is exposed, because that can sometimes scratch the inside of the rod blank. So double it over. That's how I tend to do it. Reels, again, with reels, if they rest on the ground, if they pick up mud, if they pick up grit, particularly if it's a reel that doesn't have, like these ones, a sealed drag gear in it. So the standard sort of click check, spring and pull, traditional style drag, they can pick up all sorts of horrible things very, very easily. So when you're fishing, try not to rest it on anything that you don't want to get in.
In sand or
Absolutely,
mud.
yeah. I mean, so strip the line off the reel first before you thread it through the rod guides. Then the spool isn't revolving. Find somewhere to lay it down that won't risk you picking up horrible stuff. Rest it on your cap, rest it on grass that's not too muddy and not too damp. Minimise the amount of contact between the reel and the ground, and clean it afterwards in the way that we talked about.
And drag?
Storage, yeah, big tip, massive tip. I've seen far too many seized up drag units, okay, where you can't adjust it, it's stuck, it's the devil's own job to sort it out. So if you're going to be storing it for a while and not using it, slacken off the drag so that spool can freely revolve, so when you come to use it a few weeks or a few months down the line, you're not met with a horrible surprise.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure.
That was great.
No problem.
And give your rods some TLC
That's
and
it.
lines and reels
Yeah.
and everything else.
Love your beer. Yeah.
Thank you, thanks Clark.
Pleasure. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Tight lines.